Hi, thank you for joining. I'm going to jump right in to address those of you who are going to be watching this video later. This is our live spirit chat. Welcome to our weekly live spirit chat. This is a chance for you to participate in a group coaching session or a free group Q&A session and get your questions answered concerning developing your spiritual path, developing your spiritual practice, and developing your spiritual connection. So welcome. Thank you for being here. I am just starting to address the live chat because there are people that are going to be watching this later on. So, as people are kind of trickling in, I'm already going to be talking about our live spirit chat, which happens once a week, not always on the same day, but I do try to announce it in advance. I announce it 1 or 2 days in advance on Instagram, and typically I schedule in advance on YouTube, although I didn't this time. Hi, Linda. Nice to see you. Thanks for being here. And this is a chance to talk about your spiritual connection, your spiritual practice, and your developing your everything about your spiritual work, the way that you relate to spirit, the way that you develop a practice around that relation, the way that you practice, and anything that you're learning about and want to delve deeper into. And I just want to take a moment to, hi, Ruth, thanks for joining. I just want to take a moment to address a little bit further what I'm talking about when I'm talking about our spiritual development and our spiritual practice and our spiritual connection, and why I call it a spirit chat. And that's because, in my viewpoint, our intuition and our psychic abilities come from our connection to spirit, our connection to the divine universe, our connection to pure universal energy. And when I'm talking about developing those aspects of ourselves, for me, that is intricately tied into developing our relationship with the universe, with the divine, with spirit, with God, with however you want to identify that. So I'm getting to the roots of our development, getting to the crux of our development, getting to the foundation of our spiritual development, and everything else comes on top of that. Our spiritual connection is our foundation, and everything else that we do, everything else we experience and develop, that is on top of that spiritual foundation. So that's the perspective that I'm coming from. And where I specialize is really in developing our intuition, our psychic connection, our psychic abilities, and that relationship that we have with the divine, that relationship that we have with the universe, and how that flows within us, and how we can really work on allowing that to flow in a natural, synchronistic, beautiful way in our lives, and how that in turn assists us with shaping ourselves and shaping our lives in other ways. So that is the crux of my expertise. That's where I'm coming from in these chats. Of course, as always, I'm happy to answer questions that are related to other aspects of our path as well. Thank you all for being here. Thanks for being here, Elijah. Nice to see you. Thank you for your kind words. So I always take some early submission questions, and I have some today that I am going to address before I start taking your live questions. And you always have a chance on Instagram to submit those early bird questions that I will address at the top of the hour. Hi, Mrs. Tadpole. Thanks for being here. I think I see some new faces. I see King Sir Gabriel. Thank you for being here. Nice to see you. Awesome. So I have some special announcements I'm gonna make, and then I'm gonna jump into my early bird questions, and then I am more than happy to take your live questions. Coming up on the new moon, which is Tuesday, July 2nd, we are having a solar eclipse in the sign of Cancer. I am performing my usual new moon service on that day. This time, that service is a free service which is open to the public, open to anybody who wishes to join. This service is going to be dedicated to Saint Martin of Porres. Saint Martin of Porres specializes in racial equality and social justice. This is a saint who was discriminated against. This is a saint who suffered greatly under racism. This is a saint who had to persevere in extreme conditions concerning racism in order to pursue his spiritual path. And this is a saint who is accessible to us to work towards social justice and racial equality. This service is free and open to the public, to anybody who wishes to join. We are petitioning St. Martin of Porres for racial equality and social justice. You can submit your full name to be included in this service by emailing me at inquiries@missmelinda.com. Inquiries@missmelinda.com. The solar eclipse is the most powerful day, of course, for the solar eclipse is on the day of the solar eclipse. It's happening around 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, just after 2 p.m., just after 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in the United States. A solar eclipse is a powerful portal. Any eclipse is a powerful portal. I'm already feeling the energy of this eclipse building now. And the thing about an eclipse is it doesn't just culminate on the day of eclipse. It takes about 6 months, or it can continue to affect us and continue to unfold for about 6 months after it happens. An eclipse is a portal, it's a doorway that um, opens up our perceptions within ourselves and within our lives, and allows us to see what needs to be changed, what needs to be transformed, and how to change, how to transform that. It carries a lot of energy with it that will assist us with change and transformation and growth that is needed in our lives. It carries a lot of energy with it that it hides certain aspects of our lives and ourselves in order to then illuminate other aspects of our lives and ourselves, to point us in the direction of where we have been blind, where we have been ignoring things, where we have been hiding or denying things, so that we can be aware, and then we can uh, take initiative to co-create our world by assisting with ushering that change into our lives. Now, if there are areas of our lives that we have been really neglecting, or things that we have really been hiding from, if there are areas that need a lot of growth where we have been procrastinating, or we have been hoping that it will just go away, we've been trying to ignore it, then an eclipse has the potential to bring change into our lives that's really going to push us to looking at that area, and or to making the change that we have to make in order to get to the next level, in order to start to explore that growth, in order to grow. This is very much correspondent to the Tower card in the tarot, right? So when we need change but we haven't felt safe enough to implement it, or we haven't wanted to implement it, or we haven't summoned the courage to implement it, or perhaps we're not quite aware of how to implement it, we haven't taken the initiative, and then the universe needs to come in and push us towards that change through actions that force us to let go of old preconceived ideas, or old ideas or behaviors no longer needed, and to see things in a new way. Actions, circumstances, and occurrences that really push us towards seeing things in a new way. So we have a few eclipses coming up. We have two in July, and I think that there will be one more after that, maybe two more after that. So we're entering into an eclipse season. This new moon is going to be the start of that. So it's a powerful new moon for your personal manifestations. Hi, Manny. Thanks for being here. And as I said, I'm offering a free pro bono service. So don't hesitate to contact me to join that service for racial equality and social justice. Submit your name to add power to that service, to add energy to that service, and to really be a part of setting an intention in your own lives to be a part of that growth, a part of manifesting that change that we so need in our culture at this time. So, as I said, I offer group spiritual services every new moon and every full moon. I have all kinds of group services that I offer through my Patreon page. The deadline to sign up for July's group services is June 30th. That's coming up in just a couple of days. I offer 2 readings every month, 2 group services every month, as well as personalized altar services, and I engage with my patrons on a regular basis. This is not just about lighting candles for you and taking your submissions, taking your petitions. This is about engaging in an ongoing conversation of spiritual growth, spiritual development, and spiritual support. This is a community where I offer spiritual support and where I am beginning to offer classes, courses, and workshops. In July, I am offering a course, a mystic course on developing your intuition and developing your psychic abilities. It's going to come with guided meditation. It's going to come with a live Q&A session. It's going to come with a lecture, and it's going to come with other surprises. So if that's something that you are interested in, then go ahead and be sure that you sign up for the Patreon group services by July 30th at the very latest. If you have questions about group services, if you have questions about the course, if you have questions about any of this, please drop me a line at inquiries@missmelinda.com. So that completes my announcements. And I'm going to jump into the early bird questions that were submitted and then jump into taking your questions live. Hi, fairest of them all. Thanks for joining. So, the first question is, when you first started your journey as a witch, were you fearful of doing spells? When you first started your journey as a witch, were you fearful of doing spells? So, first of all, I first started my journey as a witch when I was like 15. I was not fearful of doing spells because I think for multiple reasons. One, I was a teenager and maybe I didn't have the kind of fear that we might have as an adult, right? Secondly, it just felt like a very natural thing for me. It was something that I felt called to do. It was something that I felt was normal and natural. It seemed to progress and unfold very, very naturally in my life. I didn't have a lot of preconceived ideas or religious indoctrination that would cause me to be fearful. I was already studying witchcraft, I was studying magic, I was studying spiritual development from a very young age. So, this was a part of my path that I was consciously manifesting and that I had already put some time and effort into thinking about if it was the right thing for me and thinking about what my beliefs behind it and surrounding it were. So, if you take some time to set in place your personal beliefs surrounding your practice and set up you take some time to contemplate and commit to some personal ethics, then you will be able to eliminate that fear. If you are feeling fearful about practicing magic or about performing spell work, then I highly recommend that you get down to the root of that fear. And what it sounds to me like is one part of you is being called to practice magic and perform spells, and the other part of you is still living from somewhere in your past, from some time, some place in your past where people have told you that doing these kinds of things is wrong and that you will be punished for it. So get down to the root of that. Probably you're going through a growth phase. And what would be beneficial for you is to really discern, are my beliefs still in alignment with these fears? What are the beliefs, what are the thoughts, the worldviews, and the core beliefs that would be supporting fears such as these? And are those still my beliefs? Chances are those are not your beliefs anymore. If you're feeling called to practice magic or perform spell work, then chances are those aren't your beliefs anymore. So examine those beliefs very carefully. and decide, do these beliefs fit with me? Are these my beliefs, or are these beliefs that were given to me from somebody else? Did they come from some other place and time, some other people, some other um, way of thinking, believing, and living that doesn't belong to me anymore? Get to the root of that, examine those beliefs, decide if they're your beliefs or not. And then think about, like, do you deserve to create change in your life? Do you deserve to make your life better? If you feel that you don't deserve to use this knowledge and to use your innate power, when I'm talking about power, I'm talking about power over ourselves, power over our lives, the power to manifest. If you feel like you don't deserve to be tapped into that power, if you feel like you don't deserve to be tapped into your magic, if you feel like you don't deserve to make your life better, then that can definitely be holding you back and make you fearful. And it's your inner critic, it's your logical mind and your inner critic in your logical mind that's telling you, don't do this. It's dangerous. You're going to be punished. There are going to be repercussions. Okay, we all have an inner critic. The thing is, in order to practice magic, in order to get into a spiritual connection, in order to really flow with these kinds of activities and to really um, get into this liminal space where we can affect change in our lives and where we can be connected to the divine and connected to our spiritual connection, we have to quiet our logical analytical mind. Your inner critic is a part of your logical analytical mind. Your intuition, that exists in your energy, that exists in your heart, that exists in your body. So you need to be able to work on, you need to be able to get into your physical body, your heart, your emotional body, your intuition. That's the place that your magic is going to be flowing from. So if you have fears that are holding you back, it's okay that you have fears. You don't have to eradicate the fears in order to move forward. What you have to do is say, okay, thank you, inner critic, for trying to keep me safe. I understand that you're there for a reason. I appreciate the fact that you keep me safe when I need you to, but I don't need you to keep me safe right now. What I need to do is let the other parts of myself speak. I need to live in the other aspects of myself right now. So I'm going to go ahead and let you be quiet. I'm going to put you on break. I'm going to put you on pause, put you on rest. And I'm going to get into my heart. I'm going to get into my intuition. I'm going to get into my spiritual flow and my spiritual connection. And I'm going to practice the magic from there. And then the other aspect of this is, if your magic is justified, if you're not doing anything that's to harm somebody else for no reason, that's to control other people just because you want control, then there's no reason at all that you should be fearful of, that you should be concerned about your why for practicing magic. So discern, what is your why for practicing magic? Is it that you want to make a better life for yourself? Because if it is, then what is wrong with that? What is wrong with that? Just, it's going to take some experimentation for you, some personal experimentation in order to learn how magic works for you, and how just to learn how it works for me, for you, and how it manifests in your life and how you feel the best about it. And if you're getting hung up on the terminology, if you're getting hung up on the word spell or the word witchcraft, then just remove it right now. Just set that aside for the time being. Those definitions, those words aren't so important. There's all kinds of different ways to manifest intentions. There's all kinds of different ways to spiritually seek transformation in your life. So you don't have to feel like you have to put yourself in that box of, I'm a spell casting witch and that's how I have to practice magic. There's all kinds of ways to practice magic. Remove some of those things that are causing you fear. And I think that you will feel better. Follow some of this guidance, and I think that it will help you overcome those fears. I always save the live chats. Thank you for asking, well, I say always, if the technology allows me. Sometimes the technology doesn't allow me. Sometimes there are problems with IG, but I always save it on IG for 24 hours, and it will be on YouTube indefinitely as long as the technology is working properly. Next question. Do you seek readings, tarot, oracle, or other psychic readings from other witches or spiritual advisors? I'm a beginner witch. Should I follow my own intuition, or is it okay for me to ask guidance? So the answer to the first question is yes, I do seek readings for others when needed. I mostly rely on my intuition. I mostly rely on my spirit guides, my ancestors, my spiritual connection. When I need an outside opinion, when I'm too close to a situation, too emotionally involved, that would be when something really big is going on, something really heavy or something really challenging, or when I just need an outside objective opinion to look at things from a different perspective. I definitely seek others. There are there is an elder in my spiritualist community that I go to. He is an initiate of Palo, and he performs very specific kinds of readings that address your ancestors and your spiritual frame. I go to him when needed. I also attend misas, and when we attend misas, we all read for each other. It's not specifically for the purpose of a reading, it's specifically for the purpose of developing your mediumship skills and communing with and elevating your spiritual frame. But through the process, we all kind of perform readings for each other. So that's another way that I get readings and guidance from others. Now, the other part of your question is, should I follow my own intuition, or is it okay for me to seek guidance? The answer to both of those things is yes. You definitely should follow your own intuition. Should you seek guidance when you need to? Yes. So the thing that's going to happen is, as you continue to practice and as you continue to develop your intuition, you're going to need other guidance less. But while you are developing your intuition, you might come up against some things that are a little bit foreign to you, some things that are confusing to you. And at those junctures, it will be helpful for you to seek guidance from others, to get an outside opinion, or to have somebody who comes from a slightly different perspective look at things for you. The reason I say a slightly different perspective is because there's all kinds of different ways of performing readings, because there's all kinds of different ways that we are spiritually connected, or that we are energetically connected, or all kinds of different ways that our intuition and our psychic abilities work. So for example, you may seek a clairvoyant reading in order to read the energy surrounding you, and you would get different information from that kind of reading than you would say a reading where you are going to be specifically communing with or addressing your ancestors or your spirit guides. And the tools that people use in readings doesn't matter so much as their specific gifts and the perspective that they're coming from, right? So, somebody who is an empath that is using tarot cards, they're still going to be picking up a lot of their information from the fact that they are an empath. They're going to be feeling your feelings, feeling sensations in their body that tell them things about you, and the cards are going to be filling in other aspects of the reading. Somebody who is a clairvoyant who is using tarot cards is going to literally see things differently, even though they're using the cards. The other gifts that they're relying on are going to be different than somebody else. So that is a little bit about why it's helpful to get other perspectives, because your intuition, your psychic abilities, your spiritual connection is going to work in one way, and other people's are going to work in a different way. So that can be really helpful for us in seeing things. We're learning about things from a different perspective and learning how it works on multiple layers within us, and surrounding the energy in our lives and the energy surrounding us. So definitely work on developing and relying on your own tuition, but when needed, it is not a problem to seek guidance from other people. Don't rely on that guidance. Don't become dependent on that guidance. And don't engage with readers who foster dependence. A way of fostering dependence would be putting themselves on a pedestal, saying, I have an ability that you don't have. I'm gifted in a way that you aren't gifted. I'm naturally gifted and you aren't. Okay. Fostering a dependence would mean that you have to come to them in order to make your decisions. So, a good reader and an ethical reader is going to be somebody who encourages you and assists you with developing these things within yourself and helps you with developing these abilities, helps you with your development and your growth, and helps you to see yourself and your own intuition and your own psychic abilities and your own spiritual growth and a new perspective so that you can overcome the challenges and access things more quickly and more smoothly. A good reading is going to be concerned with your spiritual development rather than concerned with you need to come to me and then I give you the answers, right? So I hope you can see the difference there. Okay, next question. Can a love spell manifest after the 90 days? So, what this person is referring to is that a very common belief and a very common rule to go by in folk magic and other kinds of magic is that you will see signs, you should receive some kind of signs or guidance or messages about the manifestation of your spell within 3 days. Within 3 weeks, there should be some kind of movement, some kind of energetic shift, perhaps some kind of change. Within 3 months, it should come into full fruition. And if it doesn't come into full fruition within 3 months, then most likely you need to go back and take a different approach, reassess the situation, see what's going on there. So, that is just a general approximation. There are no hard set rules about all of this. That's just a general approximation. I have seen spells that manifest in much longer time frames than 3 months. Um, I once did a love spell in order to attract to me the kind of person that I wanted for a lifelong partner. And I did this spell when I was in my early 20s, and the spell came into fruition when I was in my early 30s. Actually, I was 30 to be exact. And I know that that spell came into fruition. I know that the person that came into my life, who is my husband now, has all of those characteristics, exactly the characteristics that I was seeking, that I was manifesting. And the reason that that spell didn't work sooner is because I wasn't ready for it, because I needed to develop within myself what I needed in order to make that relationship work, in order to be the partner that I needed for that person, and in order to maintain that relationship, right? So there are going to be circumstances like that where you're trying to manifest something that you aren't quite ready to receive. So there is divine timing. Divine timing means that the divine or the universe or spirit is going to bring it to you when you're ready for it, and when it's really going to be the best for you, and when it's going to work out for you the best way that it possibly can. So I've definitely seen in my own life, in my clients, and in people around me, spells that take much longer to manifest. And it's almost always because the circumstances within you are not correct in order to receive and obtain that blessing or obtain that manifestation at that time. Now, every situation is different. And when you're in really complicated situations, it may be that you need to go back and assess the approach to the situation. Are there blockages and obstacles within you that need to be removed in order to receive what you are manifesting? Is a spiritual cleansing in order? Do you need to make changes in your physical world in order to receive this blessing? Are you stuck in a pattern of behavior or a pattern of living that needs to change in order to energetically open up your life to receiving new things? There's all kinds of things to consider. The last early bird question is, how do you find balance in between honoring all of the spirits in your frame slash ancestors? So, the way that I look at this is that my relationship with my spirits, my relationship with the spirits within my spiritual frame or my spiritual family, they kind of come and go. They ebb and flow the way that relationships with other people work, the way that relationships with people work. So, you just, are really once you have been practicing spiritual work for a time, for years, you know intuitively when those relationships are ebbing and when they're flowing. When you are in tune with your intuition and when you're in tune with the way that your guides or your spirits speak to you or communicate with you or send you messages or guidance, whatever it may be, then you can get from them the information that tells you, I don't need anything from you at this time, or I do need something from you at this time. And you just know when those relationships are kind of coming and going. And it doesn't mean that you have big breakups. It doesn't mean that you denounce a spirit and you're like, I'm done with you. I can't have you in my life anymore. It's just a natural thing where it kind of comes and goes in and out of your life. But as far as the spirits that I do work with on a regular basis, including my ancestors, so there's a lot of different ways that you balance these relationships. The first thing is, excuse me, the first thing is when you first start working with your ancestors, you don't have to feel pressured in order to work with specific ancestors. You spend a lot of time. You spend a lot of time, and I'm talking, it could be years, it should be years that you spend developing this practice and developing these relationships. And in the beginning, you don't have to, you can, but you don't have to honor specific ancestors. You wait until that relationship is ready to move to the next level. And then specific ancestors will present themselves to you. You will know who you should be working with. So, for instance, I only have three main ancestors that I'm working with now. I honor all of my ancestors as a group. Right? I honor all of them. And then I have three main ancestors that directly communicate with me and directly ask for offerings and directly are involved with my or more directly involved with my spiritual growth and my spiritual practice and my day-to-day life. So but I can talk to them all kind of at the same times. I don't have to set out individualized time to speak to them. I go to my ancestor altar every day and I address all three of those ancestors each day by name, but together at the same time that I address my whole ancestor altar. As far as the other spirits are concerned, it's all, I mean, I have a gate opener that I attend to on Mondays or a gatekeeper that I attend to on Mondays. And that's his day of the week. So I always know on Mondays that's when I'm going to be communing with him and offering him offerings and offering him prayers of dedication and honor. Um, I've got the Lady of Guadalupe, and she likes to be honored on the first of the month or the first of the week. So I do something for her on the new moon. And there aren't really a lot of set times for me in regard to other spirits or in regard to my spiritual frame. I do a lot of things just very intuitively. That's how I live my life. That's how I go about my spiritual practice. That's how I go about all of this. So it's mostly about intuition and it's mostly about really making sure that I am making myself spiritually connected, allowing myself to be spiritually connected and allowing myself to listen to and receive their messages and their guidance, and then they tell me what they need and when they need it. They tell me when they're present and when they're not, and then I ascertain, okay, well, they're present right now. They want to be helping me with this specific thing, or they want to be helping me with this specific work on behalf of a client, or they're giving me some guidance. So let me go ahead and give them some extra attention now. Let me give them some some extra offerings, some extra prayers, etc. So the short answer is really a lot of it is based on intuition, and then the other part of that is it's based on my spiritual connection and being receptive to the messages that I receive from them and the communication that I receive from them. And then the other part of it is I don't put a lot of pressure on myself to have to do everything all at once. I trust them and I trust the universe, and I trust that they're going to let me know what they need in order for us to continue to strengthen and grow and deepen our relationship together. Hi, Yadi. Nice to see you here. So that's everything for the early bird submitted questions. If any of you have any questions that you would like to submit live, now would be the time to do it. Looks like I have quite a bit going on YouTube, so let me try to address this. What are some links to connect with other guidance? I'm not sure exactly what you mean by that. If you mean like links to connect with people who offer guidance, I offer readings. I offer all kinds of readings. You can find the links to my sites on my YouTube profile underneath the videos. That would be a good place to get a reading. I'm new in my psychic intuition oracle card works. Okay. I have a question about relationships as well. You see, I don't know why, but I'm interested in two women that I personally know in my life that are both just my friends, but I'm attracted to both of them. So it's odd. One of them is an Aries and the other is a Capricorn, and I am a Capricorn. They both like me, but I met the Aries first and then I met the Capricorn a month later. Okay, this is a really involved relationship issue. I don't really do readings or specific relationship issues like this in these live chats. So I feel like this would be something that would be better for a personal, private reading in which I can really take an in depth look at the situation, take a look at the energy surrounding you, the energy surrounding your relationships with or your connections to these women, and really delve into some deeper guidance for you, some personal guidance. So connecting with your ancestors, that the other question that I'm getting on YouTube is how do I connect with my ancestors? That's also a very in-depth question. I encourage you to go ahead and look at some of the archived past spirit chats. Most of my past live chats are archived on YouTube, and I've talked a lot about developing your relationship with your ancestors. And in the future, I will do a specific video that's all about working with and developing your relationship with your ancestors. I'm probably going to do a series of videos about that because it is such an in depth topic. But I'll just give you the very basic beginning answer, which is set up a space dedicated to your ancestors. It doesn't have to be complicated, it doesn't have to be fancy. You can even clear a corner on the floor, a clean space. If you want to use some kind of cloth or some kind of decoration, then make sure it's all white in the beginning. Do not offer them anything except a clear glass of fresh water, which you change daily, one white candle, and then just give them some prayers of honor and dedication on a regular basis. Make sure that you dedicate yourself to that time. Either dedicate yourself to once a week or once a day. Make sure that you only commit to what you can actually fulfill. So once a week is fine. Mondays are a good day to do it, so are Sundays. And give them some prayers of honor and dedication and gratitude each time you go there. Don't ask them for anything in the beginning. Just give them honor and gratitude. Thank them for everything that they have done before you, for the roads they have cleared for you, for everything they've passed on to you, for everything seen and unseen they have done for you. And then after you give them gratitude, after you freshen their water and their candle, then you can talk to them about your life, but don't ask them for anything. Just talk to them about your life and then close it out, and keep doing that. Keep yourself dedicated to that and committed to that until the relationship begins to change, and then further steps will be needed. Sounds good. Let's see if there, I think there's a couple of things on Instagram, and then I'll get with you, Yadi. Let's see. Is using their blood as a personal concern removable? Like, can the target remove blood magic? Yeah, you can remove anything. If people know that you're sending magic to them, even if you're using their blood, they can still remove it. Nothing is permanent, nothing is forever. All we have to do is look at life to know that nothing is forever. So, yeah, if they know that you're performing magic against them, even if you're using their blood, it's not necessarily forever. They can remove it with a reversal. They can remove it with energy work. They can remove it through an actual step by step performing the ritual backwards. They can remove it with spell breaking. There's lots of ways it can be removed. Okay, so Yadi says, have you ever had a client whose energy fell off or just not receptive? If so, how do you deal with that? Yeah, totally. Yeah, I definitely have. Let me think about the way that I deal with that, because it has really, you're welcome. Let me know if you have any follow up questions, Bruja Barbie. So let me think about that, because the way that I deal with off energy or closed off energy is very intuitive and has become second nature to me. And I know it's changed a lot from the beginning. When I used to encounter that, it used to kind of shut me down, because I would be kind of picking up on and mirroring their energy. And so if they were shut off or not receptive, it would shut me down. And now I have ways of working around that. And one of the reasons that I have ways of working around that is because before I give readings, I ask for protection, and I work on my own energetic and spiritual protection every single day, as well as working on my own spiritual receptivity every single day. So, because I work on those things on a regular basis, I already have some natural safety nets in place to help me deal with that and to help me traverse that. So when you are energetically or spiritually protected, it's not going to shut you down as much. But the thing is, you're still going to be picking up on other people's energy when you are reading with them. This can be debated, because a lot of people that I talk to feel like they are tapping into the other person's energy. I mostly focus on and feel that I am tapping into spiritual energy. The the place that my guidance is coming from, the place my messages are coming from, is spiritual connection. I am a channel for that spiritual energy. I'm a channel for those spiritual messages. I'm a channel for that information that spirit wants us to receive, that guidance that spirit wants us to receive. So that's one way to deal with it. If you have a client who's just blocked off or not receptive, just know that's okay. You don't have to be tapping into their energy. You need to be focusing on tapping into spirit. You need to be focusing in on your own energy flowing, right? And when you're doing that, you're going to also affect them by proxy. When your energy is open and you are receiving that spiritual guidance or receiving that spiritual energy, you're also going to be working on healing them, just kind of as a byproduct, just by them being involved with you, just by them being in the reading with you. Now, that being said, there's also going to be some parts, there's another nuanced aspect of readings where you are kind of mirroring the people that you are reading for in a way. There's a lot of different ways to look at that, but the main thing is the information that's coming through is going to come through in the way that is best for them to understand. So if you are, especially when you set that intention and you're working with spirit or you're working with your spiritual guidance in order to in order to manifest that intention, that the information comes through in a way that is good for them. We all have our own unique vibration, we all have our own unique spiritual energy. So the way that spirit communicates a message to somebody is in their language. And if we are the channel for the message, it needs to be partially in our language. We need to be able to understand it, but we both need to be able to understand it. The client or the querent needs to be able to understand it as well. So when you're doing that, the information is going to be kind of mirroring the way that they think or the mind frame that they're in or the way in which they are most receptive. So if this is somebody who's very analytical, for instance, then the information may come through in a very step by step kind of psychological or analytical sort of way, like in a very practical, coming from a mental plane, looking at things from a psychological perspective. If it's somebody who's really emotional, then the information is going to come through in an emotional language. If it's somebody who is clairvoyant or who resonates well with visuals, who is a very visual person, then the information may come through to you in pictures that you then communicate to them. So, what I'm saying is when you're open to your spiritual connection and your spiritual guidance, and you're working on making yourself that spiritual channel to allow the information and the guidance and the energy to come through you, when you're seeing yourself as a vessel to deliver to people what needs to be delivered, then it's going to come to them in a way that they need to hear it, regardless if they're cut off or just not receptive. Now, that being said, there are going to be some people who have such strong walls up that you can't get through to them the way that you want to get through to them. And sometimes that means that you just stop doing the reading in the way that you would usually do a reading and you just talk to them. And sometimes that's what they need, for you just to talk to them person to person, give them advice from you, from yourself, give them your opinion, your advice about their situation. Be honest with them, tell them, hey, I'm not getting a lot from this reading, or I'm not getting a lot from these cards, but I can tell you from my experience and from my life experience, from what I've learned, that this is what I see is going on with you and this is how I would handle it. Just be honest with them and just talk to them person to person. And sometimes, there are rare occasions when you're like, I just don't feel a connection with you. Just be honest with them immediately. I used to work for a very, very big, well known, very busy psychic network. And our instructions were always, if you don't feel a connection with someone, you tell them immediately, I don't feel a connection with you. And you cut the reading off right in the beginning. Like, don't even waste their time and don't even waste your time. That very rarely happens to me now. That used to happen to me all the time when I was working for a big psychic network, where all kinds of people with all kinds of preconceived ideas, or people who are like in panicky states, or people who are in angry states, or all kinds of different people calling you and expecting you to give them their life's answer within 5 minutes time, then that kind of thing used to happen to me constantly. But now that I'm more involved with manifesting my clients and manifesting my business, and really able to do my work in a way that is in spiritual alignment with myself and spiritual alignment with my own spiritual evolution, with that kind of intention, then I don't really have those kinds of clients now. So I don't have to deal with that so much. And I better knock on some wood, because you never know what's going to happen next. So Spirit's going to be like, oh, yeah, you don't have to deal with that anymore. Here you go. Hi, JC Moji. Nice to see you. Thanks for joining. Another way that you can deal with that, Yadi, is to be like, hey, I'm just be honest with them in a different way. Be like, hey, I'm sensing a lot of blockages from you. Um, do you want to talk about that? Or, do you want to talk about what's up with that? Just address it. Like, you have a lot of walls up. Maybe that's why you're having some issues in life right now. Maybe that's what you need guidance about. You have a lot of walls up. I want you to know that in order to receive the guidance that is there for you, you're going to have to let some of those walls down. That's another way you can give them guidance. Tips on manifesting the right clients. So here's the thing about manifesting your clients. I don't recommend that you put a lot of energy into manifesting very specific kinds of clients, because I feel that you should be open to the people that are connected to you, the people that feel a connection to you, and the people who feel drawn to you, because those are the people that you're meant to work with. Live by the belief that it is your unique vibration that is going to attract to you the clients that you are meant to work with and the clients that you are meant to help. So, what you should put a lot of intention into manifesting is the kind of work that you want to do, what is most important to you, and how you most want to help people. And when you put a lot of work into that and into really living in spiritual alignment with what your purpose is, then you will attract those people who are drawn to you because of what you specialize in. So, what I've put the most energy into is manifesting a life in which my spiritual evolution, the spiritual evolution of my clients, and the material evolution of my life and my business are all working hand in hand in harmony, and that it's all for the highest good of everyone involved, that it's all for the spiritual evolution of all of us. So I attract the clients to me that are in alignment with that, the clients that I can best help, and the clients that best teach me. Because one of the things that you learn about being a leader or a teacher is that you are also always growing. You are also always learning, and that through the work that you do, you also are offered the opportunity to keep growing, keep healing, and keep learning. When you're open to that, then you attract the people that you need to work with. The other thing to keep in mind is that you're going to attract people who mirror to you what you most need to work on. So work on yourself, dedicate yourself to really working on yourself, because if you have an aspect of yourself or your life that really needs some extra help, really needs some extra growth, or if you have that like one stubborn blockage area that you just haven't been able to get through, then you're going to start attracting a bunch of clients that are mirroring to you that blockage or that issue over and over again until you figure out how to work on it. So you're going to be offered an opportunity through helping them to figure out how to work on it for yourself as well. When you keep that in mind, that you're all here, we're all here to help each other, and that through doing this work, we're also evolving, and it's a continuous circle, then it's really going to help you in your relationship with your clients. That being said, there's always going to be random people. There's always going to be, a random negative people. There's always going to be haters. There's always going to be trolls. There's always going to be people that are just there's always going to be people that bring unwanted energy that you don't want to deal with. And you just get really good at your boundaries. You get really good at setting up your boundaries, making those boundaries strong, and just kind of cutting those people off immediately. In the beginning, I used to interact with a lot of people that I didn't need to interact with. And now I'm really good at just recognizing someone that I don't need to interact with and being like, okay, this is not my ideal client, or okay, I don't want this person anywhere near me, and just blocking that off. Because when you do any kind of like spiritual work, or any kind of public witchcraft or anything, you're going to attract all kinds of different people, and you're going to get used to that. You're going to learn how to deal with that, and you're going to get more of it, so be prepared. Hi, Jim. Nice to see you here. Thanks for joining. So we don't have very much time left. We have like maybe 5 minutes left. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Thanks so much for being here, everybody. Like I said, Spirit Chat happens once a week. Not always on the same day, but always at the same time, 3 p.m. Central Standard Time, US Central Standard Time. If you weren't here at the beginning of the video, you can go ahead and watch it from the beginning. It will be saved for 24 hours on Instagram as long as technology allows me. It will be archived on YouTube indefinitely as long as technology allows me. This happens once a week, and I try to announce it in advance, 1 or 2 days in advance on Instagram, where I do take your early bird submissions for questions. And I also schedule them in advance on YouTube, usually. So stay tuned. I look forward to seeing you next week. I thank you all so much for being here. I love you too, Jim. I thank you all so much for submitting your questions. I love these chats that we have together. I love interacting with you. I love answering your questions. Thank you so much and stay blessed. Bye, everybody. Bye, everybody. Stay blessed. Thank you so much.